Guys, it's time to draw women. We've been working on children for a while. I think that was a great way to get ourselves warmed up and start drawing, and now it's time to draw the female fashion figure in our 9 heads proportions. So what you're going to need today is a piece of paper. You're going to need drawing pencil. I'm going to use an HB. You'll need a pencil sharpener, eraser, and we're going to probably want to work from some reference photos. So you can just look things up on your phone or what have you. But I pulled some reference photos of faces, which we're going to use a little bit later, and also of some swimwear models on the runway, because usually the lighting on the swimwear runway poses is pretty good, and also we can see the body and the anatomy really well. Okay, so I'll have that with me as I'm drawing. If you want, in the module on women's wear, you'll find this handout, which is... It's got pages from a variety of textbooks. You guys, I have gone through all the textbooks. I am not kidding you. I feel like I've looked at everything that's out there. And my absolute favorite of all is this one. This is by Michelle Wesson Bryant. This is in the syllabus for our class. This book is not terribly expensive, and I just think it's absolutely fabulous for the amount of content that's in here. Another great book is 9 Heads by Nancy Riegelman. That one's great too. So this handout, a lot of it came from the book I just showed you. If you want to print this out, or if you picked it up on campus, you could have this near you. This might be helpful. But I'm going to talk you through it. So you really don't need anything except a big piece of drawing paper, 14 by 17, a pencil, a sharpener, and an eraser, and some reference photos. So to start out, we're going to rule out our paper, and I would like to have our lines be all 1 3/8 inch apart. Now your top line, I don't really care. That one doesn't matter that much. I'll just go 1 inch down to get us started. My paper is a vertical, and it's 14 by 17. And what fits really nicely on this paper is a figure that has a head height of 1 3/8. So there's 1 inch plus 3 little boxes on my red grid pattern making ruler. That gives me 1 3/8. And I'll go ahead and do that all the way down, and then I'll number them starting at 0. And that'll get me started. Let me go ahead and do that. Again, this paper is 14 by 17. And my space between my lines is 1 3/8. Okay. And one more. Okay. So when we talk about the 9 heads fashion figure, what we mean by that is that the total height of our figure is like we stacked 9 heads on top of each other, and that's how we get our elongated, sort of stylized fashion figure. Okay, so I'm going to number this from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'll go ahead and put 10 at the bottom because we'll let her feet go down. Now, some people do them so stylized, you guys. Some people do them 10 heads, 11 heads, 12 heads tall. If you want your figures to be extremely exaggerated, you can do that. We're going to keep it kind of with the standard fashion exaggeration, which is 9 heads tall. We're going to make her pretty standard as well, by which I mean, you know, fairly slim, guys. They look a little hungry in my opinion, but we're going to go with what's typical. And then if you want to give her more curves, if you want to make her more muscular, whatever you want, we can absolutely modify her. Over the years, I've had students do everything. I had a student who was really excited to do maternity wear. So we worked on getting her a figure that was pregnant. I had a student who was a fitness model and entered all these fitness competitions. So she wanted a model who was more muscular, and that was a lot of fun. So, you know, whatever you want to do, it's very much possible. We can do plus size, we can do whatever. But for now, I'm just going to keep it standard for our first one, and I'll teach you kind of the general way of doing this. So first and most important piece of information for you guys is that the head absolutely must touch level 0 and it must touch level 1. Okay, that is non-negotiable. By definition, this woman is going to be 9 heads tall. So our head has to fit Oh my God, my students are leaving for the morning and they're waving to me through my window. So we need to have 9 heads stacked on top of each other. Alrighty, we got our head in place. Later on, probably in the second video, I'll talk faces and face proportions. The next thing we're going to do is put in her shoulders. The shoulders are going to be right here. They're in between level 1 and level 2, okay? And if you want a measurement on this, let me clear off my desk so I have a little more space. If you want a measurement on this, I'm going to give you, I think she came out pretty well. I'll give you an exact measurement for anybody who's interested. It's a little more than an inch on each side of the vertical line, okay? About 1 1/8 inches if you want to go off of what I have on my previous one. If I wasn't doing this demo for you guys, I would probably just kind of eyeball it. If I was just drawing for myself, I would probably just kind of eyeball it and decide about how wide I wanted her shoulders and then adjust it later. But 1 1/8 inches, I think will give you something pretty good, all right? So there is our shoulder level. I'm even going to write on here, shoulders at level 1.5, okay? So between 1 and 2, level 1.5, that's where my shoulders are going to go. The next kind of rule that we follow is that the waist is at level 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put my waist right here at level 3. Okay, I'm going to make it about that wide, and then let me get you guys a measurement. I'm convinced there's 2 types of people in the world, and one type likes a precise measurement and the other side likes to eyeball things. So I'm getting about 5/8 on each side. Let's see what I've got here. Yeah, that was pretty close. Do 5/8. And on this side, 5/8. Okay. Now, I really want to encourage you guys, if you're new to fashion design, you got to learn your fractions if you're doing this in the US. One day, maybe this country will go metric, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. So waist is at level 3. Okay, that's kind of a rule. And so you got to learn your fractions. It's really, really important. Your hips are going to be down here at level 4. The hips are going to be almost as wide as the shoulders. So we'll go something like that. Okay, and then I will get you a measurement off of my old drawing. Yep, it's about this. It's a little less than the shoulders. It's about 1 inch on each side. We'll go to there. Okay. Obviously, we want her to be symmetrical. So I did draw this vertical line. I'm going to label that. That is my plumb line. P-L-U-M-B. It means it's falling down straight with gravity. We'll refer to that later when we start doing different poses. Okay, so I've got my hips, I've got my waist, I've got my shoulders. The hips are at level 4. Okay, let's put in a couple more landmarks. I'm going to mark a crotch level down here a little bit below level 4. Almost 4.5. Okay, almost 4.5. We can do that. But closer to 4 than 5. And then I'm going to scroll on down and I'm going to put some knees. The knees are going to be just below level 6, and I'm just going to lightly rough in a circle, kind of the size if she was holding a softball. Okay, we'll put that there for knees. And the knees are at 6. And I like them just a little bit below 6. Some people put them right at 6, but we can just say knees at 6. We can put the ankles down here at level 9. And just so you guys know, if you ever did do super, super exaggerated, ankles at 9. If you wanted to do super exaggerated, the torso pretty much stays the same, and what stretches are the legs. Okay, so now let's start putting in some more details. I'm going to do 2 lines. I call these the TMI lines, which is short for too much information. Okay, so some students skip this step. If you feel like you're, trying to just stay with me here, then just skip what I just did. But if you're cool with this stuff, go ahead and put in a line above and below the waist. Okay, about that much high and below the waist, the same width as the waist. Okay, I call those TMI lines. What that's going to help us do is define the rib cage and the pelvis in just a minute. Okay, next up, we're going to drop in some shoulders. Now, I want you guys to watch me do this before you draw it. The shoulders, we've already determined the outermost part of her shoulders. Okay, so when you drop in your shoulders, they need to be inside of the line that you drew. I draw it like a large oval because that's going to help me get kind of the muscle shape of her shoulder in a minute. And notice that they're coming down almost touching level 2. Okay. So I've got her shoulders in now, and once the shoulders are in, I think we can go ahead and put in a neck. For the neck, we want to make sure it's not too skinny, not too wide. Basically, we want to see that the head contour changes direction to hit the neck. You'll know that you've gone narrow enough if that's the case. And we like to go kind of straight down for the neck, and then we're going to angle out. Okay, so straight down and then angle out. I'll show you, what's going on here. You'll see it on people. It's straight down, ish, and then out. Because her neck is a little bit exaggerated, it's more straight down. All right, next up, let's go ahead and start connecting some pieces here. I want you guys to mark your armpit. Okay, so this is her whole shoulder, right? The armpits are going to be inside here. It's about 7 o'clock and 5 o'clock on the dial. And if you know where your armpits are, I do kind of an angle mark like that. And then that's going to allow me to just straight shot down towards that first TMI line. Or if you didn't do those, you can go straight to the waist. Let's block in her torso. So we're going to make it a pretty geometric for now. I'm just going to connect, okay? And then I'm going to, from this sort of crotch level, I'm going to draw in a bikini line. Give it a gentle curve. It kind of pops right above level 4 and then comes down towards the crotch. And that should get you started with something for the torso. Right now, before I move down to the legs, let me just connect across. If you did the TMI lines, I'm going to scoop in a little bit here. I'm going to scoop in a little bit here, okay? You do not need to do that. You can just go straight. But it looks, I think, a little more anatomically correct if we can capture this, because basically what's happening here is we've got a rib cage up here. Imagine we've got some ribs up in here. And we've got a pelvis down here. Pelvis, what the heck does a pelvis look like? It's like that. Something like that. I actually included in the handout an anatomical drawing so you guys can see what the bone structure looks like under the skin. But this is a bone, this is a bone, this is not a bone. So this part can kind of suck in since, as we mentioned, she's a little hungry. And then we can curve some things if we want to, but we'll come back to that. Okay, I'm going to erase away my skeleton from here. And we'll keep on going with our legs. Alrighty. Ooh, so messy, so messy. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is pan down and I'm going to get some legs in place. For the legs, you really can keep it as simple as connecting from here to the outside of your knee, okay? But it's nice if you can give it just a gentle bit of a curve. On the inside, we can also keep it really simple and we can connect with a straight line. But I'm going to get a little fancy on you guys. I am going to make a gentle, I think of it as a bit of a jelly bean shape, where I go out, in, and out. Do you see it? Now, you don't have to do that. You can just go straight. So if you want to keep it simple, just go straight. I'll do straight on the other side. Okay, straight would just be straight. Straight would just be straight. Okay, you can do that. That's not a problem. If you want to give a gentle curve and a gentle curving right there, I think that's kind of nice. And I will show you what I'm talking about here. It's this. We've got some muscles that are happening in her legs that are causing the silhouette to dip in and pop out. And you'll notice that when it pops out, it's coming in and it's wrapping down below the knee. So I'll see if I can kind of capture that. Okay. Now let's do the lower leg. For the lower leg, we have a calf muscle. Okay, look at where the calf muscle is thickest. It's closer to the knee. And then we're going to taper down to her ankle. So for us, we like to have the thickest part of the calf muscle right about here at level 7. And if you guys want to get really nerdy on this, we're going to put a diagonal line lightly here, because what happens is the thickest part of the leg on the calf is higher on the outside and lower on the inside. Do you see it? We pop out there and we pop out here. This is higher than that. So I can do that. I'm going to put a diagonal line, and that's going to allow me to kind of know where to pop out, and it's going to help me know where to pop out. Okay. Now, what also tends to help students is if you draw yourself an oval shape right here at level 7, that kind of gives you something you can sort of wrap around. And what we want to do is wrap around that oval shape at level 7 and then taper your way down to a nice skinny ankle, okay? And we'll end up with something like that. And I'm going to put her other side of her kneecap in here, and you can start to see the anatomy coming together. I'm just going to neaten everything up. Okay. Try to make sure that I'm keeping that thicker part of the outside contour of her leg higher. All right, I'm okay with that. Let me get the other side in real quick. So I'm going to put an oval, and don't worry about that diagonal line. If it's too much info, just go around and taper to the ankle. But I like the curves, you guys, so I'm going to just come in here. I'm going to give myself a bop out, a scoop in, a bop out, and wrap it around below the knee. On the outside, I'm going to give it a little bit more thickness there and aim for the outer part of the knee. And then we'll come in here and I'll go ahead and get my lower part of the leg and the outside part of the lower leg. And there we go. Okay, so I think we're off to a good start. While we're down here, let's talk feet. Now, for your standing pose that's facing the camera, so a long time ago, I used to just do it like a diamond shape where the foot was sort of drooping down and I saw the whole toe. That is weird to me now that I look back at those old drawings, because I feel like it looks like she's hanging and her feet are dangling. What I do most of the time now is I put a floor below her. Okay, so I'm going to put that floor between 9 and 10, but closer to 10. It's really like 9 2/3. Okay, something like that. And what I recommend you do, I'm going to zoom in for this. Let me see.